Hello, 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 everybody. How are you? Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome to a real good time. Welcome to a moment, about 20-something moments of clarity, of strategy, of inspiration, of love, of blessings. I want to invite you into this environment, into this atmosphere, and I believe you're going to leave this podcast, you're going to leave this episode enriched and blessed. And if this is your first time on the Call Podcast, first of all, welcome, welcome, welcome to you. We're so glad you're here. We don't believe that you're here by randomness. We believe you were divinely called to be a part of this conversation, to be a part of this community, a community that I believe you're going to be a part of for a long time because you're just not random. You're called. And this is where the called people hang out. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. I encourage you to rate and review it and go to calledleaders.com. Find out all about the things that are taking place in this movement. Speaking of, on May 17th and 18th, you'll find us on calledleaders.com. We're having our fourth annual. Yes, this is our fifth time doing it, but our fourth annual Called Leadership Conference is going to be amazing. It's called Called to Illuminate. And if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a leader, if you are a corporate exec, or if you are someone who has a big vision, a big dream, or want to discover your big dream or your big purpose, you need to be in this magical, powerful, anointed room. It's going to be in Los Angeles, again, May 17th and 18th. Go to calledleaders.com and register. It is going to be intimate and will sell out. And we actually have an early bird promotion right now. So go there, get with it, lock in, be a part of that number of people who come in, and they're just never the same again. You can go to the website and see the testimonies. It just is what it is. And so welcome to the family. Hope you can be a part of that. But what you are a part of is our conversation today. You know, we've been in this self-management series, and last week, you know, we talked about goals, and we talked about becoming a goal crusher, and we got practical, and we got inspirational, and I believe you got more powerful if you heard that. And if you haven't, go back and listen to it today. Today, I want to talk about identity, and identity is everything. If you know me, if you've listened to me in any format, any capacity, you know I'm big on identity because I believe that identity is the starting place for success. It's the starting place. It is the point of introduction. It's how you show up in the world. Your point of introduction is your identity. And so you have to not be careless with it or not be random or cavalier about it. You've got to be intentional about it, and you've got to define yourself because there's so many things out there that will attempt to define you. And I want to talk about that specifically in the context of visions and goals. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he was sharing with me how even though the new year has just begun, he was already beginning to slip in his disciplines, and he was already beginning to slip in his goals and the things that he had set forward. And I'm like, wow, man, really? I mean, we just started. What's going on? You know, and he just said, I don't know. And I said, you know what? I said, I'm convinced that if you start doing without locking in on your identity, it will be very easy for you to fall back into old habits and old rhythms. I'm realizing that when we set up our New Year's resolutions and when we set up our goal, when we set up our vision, really what is required to fulfill those things is a different you. You know, people say you can't have a new year without a new you. And so one of the reasons why people are not consistent, they can't be consistent in the things that they know that they want to do is because they have not latched onto or clearly defined their identity, and they don't look at it consistently. You know, I'll tell you right now, you've probably heard me say this before. I literally have a 12-point identity statement that I look at every single day before I begin my day. In fact, I'm going to share a few of them with you on this podcast today because I think that kind of letting you into my world and into my process is going to help you because, oh, by the way, you are going to create an identity statement. Right. If you didn't have a goal, if you didn't have a vision, you've got a task for this year, I'm giving you a task today. By the time we're together next week, you need to have your identity statement written out. And again, you are going to look at this thing every single day, and it's going to remind you of who you are. And as you are daily reminded of who you are, you're going to walk in the things that that person does, right? When you lay out your identity statement, you are describing and defining a person. It is the you. It's the you that you want to be. And so let's take a minute. Let's pause. Let's ask some questions. Let's get in this thing a little bit. Who do you want to be? I know what you want to do. That's wonderful. But do you realize that typically if there's something that you want to do and that thing is great, what you're really asking for in addition to wanting to do that is wanting to become the person that does that. Are you tracking with me? Does that make sense? In other words, we do because we are. And so when you think about what you're called to do, what type of person is it going to take to do those things, right? In other words, who do you want to be? What type of person? And here is the awesome thing. You can be it. You can be that type of person. It's amazing when you are inspired by God to do something great. And you might say, well, how do I know if it's God or it's me? That's a whole nother conversation. Maybe you can come to one and we'll talk about it, the Potter's House, and we'll talk about it or whatever. But let me just try to simplify it. There are moments where we feel inspired to do things that are beyond us, and it doesn't come from this egotistical place. It doesn't come from a place of pride. It comes really from a humble, pure, and genuine space and place, and it's often a good thing that's beyond us. And it will almost make us nervous, right? An egotistical vision won't make you nervous because an egotistical person says, I can do it, I got it. But one of the characteristics of a God vision, a divine vision that comes to you, is that it feels bigger than you. And it's one of those things that it comes from divinity because it requires divinity in order for you to pull it off, right? And so when I start asking you questions like, who do you want to be? What type of person you want to be? Let me first tell you that if you've been divinely inspired to do something big, that is actually a communication and a clue to you that you are bigger than you think. In fact, hear those words really clearly. You are bigger than what you think. Let me remix it. You are greater than what you think. Let me remix it one more time. You are more than what you know. You're more than what you know. So the beautiful thing about this identity statement is that we get the opportunity to define the version of us that will do that thing or those things that we have been divinely inspired to do. Hallelujah. But here's the thing. You got to believe it. In my further conversation with my friend, and I just really felt deeply compelled, spiritually resourced to talk to him. And I was just affirming him and building him. And there was a moment where I could just see him wrestling to believe it. Let me tell you something about belief real quick. We're going to get into the identity statement, but let me tell you something about belief real quick. Here is the misunderstanding about belief. Some people think that belief or having faith or great faith is some sort of unique gift and skill for the mature. It is not. Here is what you need to know about belief. Belief for everyone is simply a decision. It's a decision. You are presented with a perspective, you are presented with an idea, and then you make a decision to believe it. If someone comes to you and they say you are great and you are going to do great things, they are offering you an opportunity to be edified, to be built up, to become the great person that you are. The gesture is, hey, take this word, take this thought, take this truth, make it yours. But if you don't believe it, you can't be benefited by that word, even though it was sent to you. And oftentimes it was heaven sent. Belief, my brother, my sister, is a decision. And you, even as you begin to write out your identity statement, are going to have to believe that it is true. Even if you are yet becoming it, what gives you the strength and the fortitude to continue on in your journey to becoming it is that you believe it is true. Man, I feel like digressing a little bit. I almost feel like preaching. Like even though there's something that may not be showing up in my life right now, if I get a word that says that this is who I am and this is my future, I receive it as so. You have no idea how much power there is in your mouth and in your mind. Your mind and your mouth can get together and create incredible things. I feel that so strongly. Somebody's about to get this thing today. This is supposed to be a podcast where I'm teaching, but I feel almost a preaching anointing right now. You're going to get this thing today. You are going to have to make up your mind that you are not going to be your own sabotager, right? When goodness comes to you, you are not going to be the one that pushes it away by disbelief or you don't believe you're worthy of it. No. Not only are you worthy, you're worth it. Are you hearing me? And so when I think about belief, the difference between who you are showing up as currently and who you want to be is in your mouth and in your head. That's the difference. The difference between someone who is walking in their greatness, walking in their identity, walking in their calling and doing great things, and the person that's always trying to get over, oftentimes the difference is what they say and what they think. Bottom line. So we're going to get this identity statement down, and you are not going to war against yourself. You're going to keep on reading it, keep on speaking it over your life until you and your identity statement become one. Are you tracking with me? So let's get it going. Let's talk about it. The first thing that your identity statement should begin with is your name. I want you to love your name. When you say your name, I want you to love it. I am Touré. You ought to hear the way I introduce myself to people. How are you? And they say their name, and I boldly and confidently, watch this, and with great joy say, I'm Touré. Woo! It ought to feel good to you to say your name because you believe in your name, because you're going to get to a place to where when you hear your name, you are going to hear and feel a powerful identity when you say your name. We're on our way there. And let me tell you something right now. Your name don't have to be Thurston or Priscilla, or whatever type of, prominent name you think, whatever that might sound like. No, I don't care if your name is Leroy. I don't care if your name is Laprika de Bika. I don't care what it is. Whatever your name is, I want you to take pride in your name. Woo! Oh, I feel that thing right there. When someone asks you your name, don't be saying, oh, my name is Santa. No, speak loudly, speak assertively and confidently when you introduce yourself. Hi, what's your name? Hello, my name is Touré. When you say your name, not only should you feel something, but the person that you said your name to should feel something. I feel that thing right there. I'm thinking about this account in scripture when this is actually when he was in custody, right? You imagine that, Jesus in custody? But anyway, it's a long story. But he's in custody. And they ask him, they say, are you Jesus, so and so and so forth. And Jesus says, I am he. And when he says, I am he, the people who were around him fell to the ground, right? He had so much connection and confidence in his own identity that he projected so powerfully that the people around him were overwhelmed with his glory. I feel that. That's what I want for you. In fact, that's what I'm praying. You're going to believe in your name so much that when people ask your name, you're going to say your name with such joy, such conviction, such power, right? Such authority that people are going to have to take notice of you. Woo! Woo! I used to tell my daughters, and this is about walking, but it's the same principle, because they used to walk when they were younger. They used to walk, kind of like slouched over a little bit, their shoulders. I said, no, don't do that. I said, when you walk, I want you to walk with your shoulders square, and I want you to walk, and I said, and walk in this fashion. Walk like you've got somewhere important to go, and they're going to be glad to see you when you get there. Come on, hear me. You need to walk, even in your posture, like you've got somewhere important to go, And they're going to be glad to see you when you get there. So when you say your name like it is the great name that it is, because it is. There's nobody like you. There was nobody like you before you, nor will there ever be anybody after you. You are beyond special, and you have to own it. And so I believe that your identity statement ought to start with your name. Mine, I'm going to read you some of mine. So mine, it's a 12-point identity statement. I'm not going to read all of it because it's mine and not yours, and I want you to get your own going. But the first point is I am Touré, right? But you know what I also do? I also define what that means. What does Touré mean, right? Like, what does it mean to be Touré? So for me, it is I am a son of God, and then I'm like, what does it mean? So you don't want just words, you want meaning, right? And identity is about meaning. There were a lot of people named Jesus in Jesus' day, right? But there was only one Christ. There was only one Messiah because the name had meaning. The identity had meaning. So I am Touré. I am a son of God. What does that mean? That means that I am loved by God. I'm in love with God. I'm chosen by God. I'm empowered by God. I'm committed to God, and I'm destined in God. You see why that's so powerful? And you can put your name right in there because it is true. All that is true. As a child of God, all those things are true. You're like, repeat it. No, you can just hit the little rewind thing and you can get that, right? Pause it and listen to it, right? But so when I say I am Touré, in my mind, I'm thinking all those things, right? And so it should begin with your name. And I want you to love your name. And I want you to hear and feel power and joy, a powerful identity when you say your name, right? You're going to speak loudly, boldly, confident. I don't mean be obnoxious, but when you say your name, when you say your I am, your name is your I am, your identity is your I am, it should mean something powerful to you. Are you tracking with me? Here's another thing that's really interesting too, and this is why it's important for you to really own your I am, because your I am is someone else's you are. I've got to say that again. Your I am is someone else's you are. There's someone on the other side of you, a relationship, a business partner, a potential spouse that is only going to be attracted to the true you, I am. I got to say that better. There are business people who are partners, people who are potentially investors that are looking for a certain I am. And when your I am connects with what has been placed on the inside of them, then you're going to become their you are. So when your I am hooks up with their you are, magic takes place, right? Businesses form, your funding happens. You may find your spouse, you may find your partner. All these things happen. You must be an I am, and you are an I am, and I want you to own it. Are you hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth? And what gives you the power to say I am and mean it, and not just be I am today, but mean it, is you believing in yourself. That's vital, right? So we're talking about your identity statement. It needs to start with your name. It also needs to be specific. You notice how I got very specific about who I am and what that means. Let me read you another one off my list. After that, I am a father to my children, right? That's part of my identity. But let's even get more specific, right? I'm not just putting out words, because what happens is if you put out words in your affirmations or your identity statement or your mission statement, but you don't give meaning, they become vain repetitions. It doesn't really sink in. So what does it mean for me to be a father to my children? So I wrote down more things. I cover them. I bless them. I'm connected to them. I teach and prophesy to them. I spend time with them. They are my priority. I provide for them. I maintain a right environment for them. I leave an inheritance for them. So these are very, very specific things. And these things also alter my behavior. See, let me tell you something. When you start getting through your I am statement and you start giving definition to it, you won't have any time for randomness. Your life is going to be full of things that matter. Your I am statement is ultimately your vision for who you are, and it helps to shape your day. It helps to shape what you do and what you don't do. And you can quickly and easily realize when you're moving into distraction mode or random mode. Are you tracking with me? It needs to be specific. And then it also describes what that person does. So your identity statement is a detailed statement that identifies who you are so that every single day you're looking in a divine mirror before you enter into that day, right? It needs to be specific, and it needs to be descriptive. Let me give you another one. I'm going to pull out this one. Number 6 on my list is I am a diligent executive, right? A diligent executive. Okay, well, what does that mean? That sounds good, but what does that mean? That means that I am focused. I am a man of vision, excellence, preparation, organization, planning, goal setting, and execution. So every single day, I'm looking at this. It's kind of hard to slack off when you tell yourself at the beginning of the day that you're a diligent executive, that you're focused, that you have vision, that you're a man of excellence, goal setting, planning, execution, right? Every single day I tell myself that, and my mind is being renewed, which means that not only am I these things, but I become more of these things and better at these things as I go along because I am staring in my divine mirror every single day. It describes not only who I am, not only what I do, but it also should, mine and yours, should describe, should define how I do it, So let me give you one. Let me give you another one. How about this one? I am a man of discipline, okay? I am consistent. I am focused. I am committed. I am persistent. I am strong. I am optimistic. I am faith. Not I have faith. I am faith. I'm a force of faith, right? I'm an author, etc., right? But let me give you some more of it. I am a man of wisdom and knowledge. So here's an I am, but let's get to the how. How do I continue to be a man of wisdom and knowledge, and how do I increase in it? I put right here, I pray and I seek God's wisdom daily. I read books daily and learn new things. So I'm not just telling myself who I am. I'm not just telling myself what that type of person does. I'm telling myself how to do it. All of that is in there, right? I'm gonna give you another one. I'm a man of health. I eat what is good. I exercise daily. I drink lots of water. Hello, if you can't see me, watch this. Look, hear me. What am I doing right now? I just drank some water. Drank water because I get this big old thing of water right in front of me. Why? Because I tell myself every single day who I am, what I do, and how I do it. I also have included in my I am identity statement what is important to me. And not only what is important to me, but what my relationship is to those things. Let me give you another one that's in there in my I am statement. So what's important to me, there's a lot of things, but one thing that's important for me is the kingdom. You know, I'm a Christian. You may or may not be a Christian, but I'm a Christian, and I believe in God's kingdom. And God's kingdom is a kingdom of light and love and power and impact and transformation. And so because I love God's kingdom, I want to see his kingdom advance in every place. And I also have some specifics on there. I want to see his kingdom come to the continent of Africa in particular. And I have even the specificity of Liberia in there because I have a word about Liberia. I want him to come to the nations. All of that is in there, right? But those things that matter to me specifically, I put it there. I can go on and on and on and on. But what I'm trying to do is give you framework so that you will understand, one, the importance of having an identity statement. If you don't have an identity statement, you're going to get lost. You might do well for a day or two. You might start in your disciplines and do okay for the first week. But if you have not defined yourself with specificity, then you're going to look up, watch this, and you are going to rubber band back into a former version of you. And that former version of you cannot realize the future vision that has been entrusted to you. Are you tracking with me? So now I want you, this is your homework. You didn't know that the Call podcast has, yes, homework. Your homework is to create an identity statement. It's to write it out. It needs to begin with your name. Your name matters. Your name means something. Your name is valuable. There's nobody like you. And I want you to own your name. I want you to own it. Own it. And your name is not just your name, it's your identity. Own that thing. Put your shoulders back. Someone asks you your name, say, I am Tanya. I am Richard. Say your whole name. Say your middle name. I am Touré Thomas. Right? You better believe it, right? Let it start with your name. And I want your name to matter and mean something, because your name does matter and your name does mean something. Get specific. Get descriptive. Talk about what you do. So this is who I am. You know, another one in there is I'm a husband, and I talk about I'm the husband to my wife, Sarah, and what that means and how I interact with her, how I see her, those things that are important. Be very, very descriptive. And in there, talk about how you do it. Yes, I am a man of health, but what does that look like? Yes, I'm a man of discipline, but what does that look like? Yes, I am an entrepreneur, but what does that look like? Be very, very specific. A vague identity is an invaluable identity. A vague identity will not give you the type of velocity required to realize your vision. It needs to be clear, and you need to look at it each and every single day. And the beautiful thing is that the more you stare at it, the more you will become it. This is an opportunity for you to build the person that you long to be. It's exciting. Vision is amazing. It's wonderful. But what's more amazing is a transformational journey that gets you there. Are you tracking with me? Get that identity statement done. And you know what? If you want, send it to me. I love to see it, right? I mean, it's your business. And if you're open, send it to me. I might even call it out. You know, if you send it, if you go to callleaders.com and you contact us and put in your vision statement, I'll speak. In fact, I will do that. I'll speak. If you send it to me, I'm going to speak over 2 or 3 people. I'm going to speak your identity over you and come into agreement. And you'll have literally a recording of me speaking out your thing. Maybe I'll do that for the next couple of weeks. You'll have a recording of my voice speaking, coming into agreement with you, telling you who you are, because this is going to be an amazing year, because you are going to become an even more amazing you. God bless you. If this podcast blessed you, share it with someone, pass it along. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe it. Also go to callleaders.com. You do not want to miss this intimate gathering in Los Angeles, May 17th and 18th. I cannot wait to be there with you and some of my very, very smart friends. We're going to pour into you. There's an early bird discount if you go right now. I love you. And remember, you are not random, my friend. You are called.